We have here a Pairpoint Puffy Roma Shade table lamp.
As long as I can remember, it's been in our family. And then my mother's, or my parents, I didn't know really anything about it other than our family just loved it. And
the perfect example of a rare and exquisite piece. This lamp features a blown-out and reverse painted shade which depicts a Venice scene that is highly sought after. Most Pairpoint lamps were produced from about 1890 to the 1920s, with this particular lamp likely dating from 1900 to 1910.
Point lamps came in 3 different sizes, the table size, and there was the boudoir size and also the candle size. So this is the larger size of the table size.
Additionally, this piece was a luxury item, often retailing at stores like Shreve & Company or Tiffany & Company. Also, this lamp's shade and base are original, with the shade being a unique style, adding to the lamp's worth at...
We would estimate this to sell at auction between $5,000 and $7,000.
Not going to sell it at auction, but it's very nice to know that. My mother would have been happy. We tried to come several years ago when Roadshow was in Tulsa.
These ordinary pieces of paper are some of the most monumental artifacts ever because they signify the historical event of the moon landing. These news wires were transmitted in July 1969, and they're special because they were autographed in the White House and time-stamped. News wires were also autographed by the 3 original astronauts during the 10-year anniversary.
They were going to be having a 10-year commemoration in the Rose Garden of the White House.
The news wires were accurately detailed to provide precise timestamps.
After a couple of minutes conversation, I'd asked them to sign the documents. All 3 astronauts signed these 2, and Neil Armstrong was the only one to sign that 3rd one.
There's also a picture here of President Jimmy Carter and the original 3 astronauts. Each of these news wires is a piece of history, and so they would each auction at...
For the entire collection, I would give a conservative auction estimate of $24,000 to $34,000.
Okay.
This guest brings in a rare Regal guitar. This particular Regal stands out due to a unique Hawaiian scene stenciled on its top.
It's a Regal, but what makes it so unusual, of course, is this double volcanoes Hawaiian stenciled scene on the top.
Okay.
Depicting a scene with 2 volcanoes. The appraiser reveals some interesting details about the instrument. He explains it was originally intended as a Hawaiian guitar, designed to be played on the lap with a steel bar, rather than in the traditional manner.
So it was intended to be played on the lap with a steel bar.
However, with some adjustments, the guitar could have been converted for conventional playing. If converted for standard play and sold at a specialty guitar shop, the guitar could fetch a surprising
Playing style, this guitar would easily sell for $2,000.
Wow.
This miniature marvel of aviation grace was brought onto the show by this guest who acquired it at a swap meet. The airplane model served as a movie prop, particularly featured in the film Only Angels Have Wings.
I knew it was Only Angels Have Wings, and I knew that it was a Howard Hawks film.
Furthermore, the movie went on to win first-time awards for Best Effects and Special Effects, respectively. On the side of the plane is the inscription of the Airways company from the movie. Interestingly, this model plane has a large wing partly made of wood and a metal body. Dating back to the 1930s, this item has stood the test of time. It's not often that we come across an item as significant to Americans' movie history and development as this. It is estimated to be worth...
With some friends of mine, I think this could sell easily in today's market for $5,000.
That's great. I can't believe I balked at paying $250 for it.
On first sighting, this piece might look like just an ordinary decorative map. However, upon closer inspection, it can be noted that the map is actually a poster map made as a tourist keepsake.
In fact, it's something that we in the trade refer to as a poster map. And these maps were made as tourist knickknacks. These maps were made as decoration.
Created in 1926 by the artist Charles Vernon Farrow, this map features an extraordinary border with a chaotic mix of cars and people, reflecting the bustling streets of New York.
Not a particularly well-known or famous artist, but his work here is exquisite. It's a shame that there aren't more examples of his work.
The map depicts New York life, including flappers and a supposed gangster in a plaid suit. This map's value is heavily influenced by its New York theme, making it highly desirable to New Yorkers. Sadly, over time, some fading began to develop on the map. In good condition, however, due to its rarity and New York charm, this map could fetch
I would estimate it between $1,500 and $2,000. So in fact, it being mounted to a board and the colors having faded almost cuts the value in half.
Okay.
We are presented today with a remarkable flask, adorned with an engraving of a monkey. The flask was passed down to the guest from her grandparents. On the underside of the flask are markings carrying the name of Edward Moore. Moore was a prominent silversmith who worked for Tiffany and Company, makers of this piece.
5.5 gills is the size, so it's roughly 650 milliliters. This is a big flask. The M is for Edward Moore.
Japanese style had been incorporated into Moore's craftsmanship, and it is evident in this piece.
If you go back to 1876 in Philadelphia, which was the Philadelphia Centennial, the Japanese were coming to America bringing their style.
There is also an inscription of the oldest country club in America on the flask, with a dedication to Thomas Thorne, who had won the club's clay pigeon championship in 1884. This stunning piece exemplifies the pinnacle of neoclassical silversmithing craftsmanship and would sell for,
without looking at the inscription, as a Tiffany piece, I'm going to tell you between $4,000 and $6,000.
I'm glad I brought it in too.
These production design sketches hold a fascinating history. The reason why is that they were donated by the director of the film Out of Africa, Sidney Pollack. Pollack was an American film director, producer, and actor known for directing commercially and critically acclaimed studio films. The sketches depict poignant scenes from the Out of Africa film, beautifully capturing the emotional essence of the film.
This is the moment in the film, and this wonderful love story when Robert Redford lands his biplane and comes back.
Accompanying these sketches is a letter detailing Pollack's donation and acknowledging the talent of the film's art director, who won an Oscar for his work.
Just as the picture won Best Picture at the Oscars, he won an Oscar for art design.
These sketches provide a glimpse into the intricate artistry behind the film, showcasing the talent and dedication of the artist involved in its production. In the evolving market with its significant value in the world of film memorabilia, the gouache sketch would fetch
Auction, the painting up top, the gouache, would sell for approximately $1,000 to $1,500.
Reflecting both artistry merit and historical significance, the oil sketch would sell for.
And this one, which is a beautiful painting in and of itself, we would expect that one would probably sell between $2,000 to $3,000 at auction.
Wow.
Acquired last fall from a local antiques store, this mahogany dressing table has captured the heart of its owner. Dating back to around 1760 or 1770, this piece is a fine example of a Queen Anne dressing table.
Queen Anne dressing table of good quality.
The top features an elegant overhang, and the drawers are thumb-molded, typical of the period. This central drawer boasts a beautifully carved fan, indicating high quality and extra cost. The legs are gracefully formed, adding in pad feet on platforms, another sign of quality craftsmanship. These drawer sides are double beaded, a detail that demonstrates the skill of the cabinet maker. Originating from the North Shore of Massachusetts, possibly the Salem area,
I've seen similar dressing tables in high chests that have very much the same treatment.
Purchased for $8,500, this dressing table's value in today's market is around
I would not be surprised if it brought $8,500.
A look at this piece of furniture reveals an ornate level of Italian craftsmanship. This Venetian hand-carved chair was made circa 1880. It is an exquisitely detailed chair with wildly audacious carvings and embodies the bodacious Italian furniture style exported worldwide.
It is a Venetian hand-carved chair from about 1880.
Likely crafted from rich walnut wood, this piece hails from Italy's decorative carving schools. It is very rare to find such an exquisite example of well-made furniture at auctions for bargain prices. A piece of furniture with masterful craftsmanship of this quality and style would be valued at
auction, we might put an estimate on it in the $1,500 to $2,000 range.
This bound edition of 3 18th century books inherited from the guest's father in 1984 holds significant historical value. The first pamphlet, Reflections on the Revolution in France by Edmund Burke, is a renowned work printed in 1792. This second pamphlet, Defense of the French Revolution by James Mackintosh, also printed in 1792. Lastly, the collections include Thomas Paine's The Rights of Man, printed in Baltimore in 1791, marking the first American edition of this influential pamphlet. The books are bound together, likely in the 19th century, which has preserved them in remarkable condition. Despite being appraised at $400 by an auction house 30 years ago, the current retail value of the collection is estimated to be between,
I would estimate at retail, the three pamphlets today would be worth between $8,000 to $10,000.
Whoa,
$8,000 to $10,000.
Wow. Great.
Delve into the rich history of a cherished French doll passed down through the generations. This doll was given to the guest's grandmother in 1940, crafted by the renowned Jumeau firm in 1885.
She's made by a French firm called Jumeau, which was one of the prolific doll firms in France at that time period.
This doll features a closed mouth, paperweight glass threaded eyes, and high-quality bisque. Its original wig and compact size make it highly desirable among collectors.
And if you look at it, it's got a closed mouth, paperweight glass, threaded eyes, very good quality bisque. The original wig, the size is what's so unusual.
Also enhancing its wonderful uniqueness, this doll still has its original dress and a distinctive shoulder plate design. In perfect condition, this doll remains a significant piece for many doll collectors and would be valued at...
She would be worth anywhere between $2,500 and $4,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea. No, I really didn't. For real. This is amazing. Thank you so
you're
much.
welcome.
Floyd. I'm so appreciative of this.
This expressive drawing, brought onto the show by a guest, the intriguing drawing was created by the famous...
And this is an original by Bill Ward, but a reprint done later.
Bill Ward, an American cartoonist notable for his work as a good girl artist and as a creator of the risque comic character Touchy. This drawing serves as the cover image for Touchy #1. However, Ward produced numerous reprints, and this item is one of them. The drawing depicts a risque blonde lady and a man with his hands on a board bearing the inscription, "The United States Army wants you."
Horses, and that was Torchy, and she was kind of the ditzy blonde.
Although this drawing is a reprint and not an original, it still holds significant value. At auction, its value is estimated to be
Collectible. And as a reprint, collectors are still going to pay for this original recreation $3,000 to $4,000. Wow.
Fan meets idol and becomes friends is essentially the summary of today's episode. This lucky guest received these cherished personal mementos from the king himself, Elvis Presley. Presley was an American singer regarded as one of the most significant cultural figures of the 20th century. This lucky guest became friends with Elvis, and they had a lasting friendship filled with memorable encounters. Due to their close friendship, the guest was able to receive a macrame belt.
I was kidding around with Elvis and asking him about his macrame belts, if he made them himself.
And a signed album from Elvis, which are now both prized memorabilia. Signed record albums by Elvis are really uncommon and rare.
When he went in to get dressed to go up to the stage, he came back out and he had the macrame belt in his hand and just kind of pitched it to me.
Combined, these items from the king of rock and roll have a conservative auction estimate of...
Again, fairly conservative auction estimate, maybe $7,500 to $9,500 on the pair. It's just great stuff. And if you're going to put an insurance value on it, you'd probably want to insure it for a little bit higher, maybe $10,000 for the two pieces.
This guest brought in a fascinating relic from the Wild West era, a Chicago palm protector. This unique weapon, manufactured by the Chicago Firearms Company in the 1890s, was designed to be concealed in the palm for discreet self-defense. The appraiser explained the historical context, highlighting Chicago's reputation as a lawless frontier town during that period.
By the Chicago Firearms Company. It was manufactured in the 1890s.
Which likely fueled the demand for such concealed firearms. The guest, who inherited the palm protector, had yet to learn its value. The appraiser provided a welcome surprise, estimating its worth at...
Well, it's worth $2,000. $2,000, wow! The
guest brought the Mickey Mantle baseball card which he received from his sister 12 years ago, after her husband passed away. He had a special connection to the card due to his love of baseball and his childhood hero, Mickey Mantle. Mickey Mantle was an iconic center fielder for the New York Yankees, winning multiple championships for them. The 1951 Bowman Mickey Mantle card was one of the most collected baseball cards, especially in good condition.
The big leagues and immediately electrified the Yankees. He had one spell in the minor leagues. His
guest card was in poor condition, with uneven margins, soiling, and damage to the back. Despite its condition, the card is still highly valuable due to its rarity and demand. The appraiser estimated the card's value at
auction estimate of at least $8,000 to $10,000.
This lamp was bought new by the guest's grandfather's uncle before World War I. The uncle special ordered a shade with more tulips than the regular tulip lampshade from the Tiffany counter at Marshall Fields in Chicago.
Typically, this shade would have had an extra border row along here.
Typically, shades like this from Tiffany would have an extra border row and more soil depicted, but this one has more tulips and stems. The lamp's glass features rare types like phosphate stringing and ripple glass, dating it around 1915. The lamp has its original cap and base with a wonderful patina referred to as righteous patina. Tiffany Studios allowed customers to mix and match shades and bases, making it special to see a piece that has stayed together. At auction, this special ordered lamp with rare features is estimated to be worth,
in terms of value, at auction, an estimate for this would be between $150,000 and $200,000.
Okay.
However, for retail and insurance purposes, its value is set to be at,
in a retail shop, and for insurance purposes, I would put a value of $375,000 on it.
Okay.
Guest's husband purchased an oil painting at a yard sale in the 1970s for less than $5. The painting depicted a scenic outdoor scene. The appraiser identified the artist as Thomas Hill, a well-known painter of Yosemite National Park scenes. The specific painting was a view of Vernal Falls from the base of the Mist Trail. However, the appraiser noted that the painting was created after the artist suffered a stroke, which affected his style and execution. Despite being a post-stroke painting, the appraiser estimated its value to be,
it'd be worth about $15,000 to $25,000. Same size.
Can you tell that that's after the stroke?
Absolutely,
No.
absolutely.
Oh, you can.
Nonetheless, $5 to $6,000 to $8,000, pretty darn good.
Excellent. Thank you.
Michael Jackson's signed fedora and photo were brought by the guest. They were purchased at an auction in 1994 for $800. The fedora bore Michael Jackson's signature, along with a gold name inside the hatband. The appraiser explained that Jackson was known for generously donating items to charity auctions. While some items may have secretarial signatures, the guest's items are signed by Michael himself. This confirms the authenticity of the fedora and makes it more valuable. The other item was a photograph which he also signed. The appraisal value for the fedora and photo combined was estimated to be,
today at auction, it's probably with the photograph and the hat worth between $3,000 to $5,000.
This piece, referred to as a torchère, features 4 lights and lanterns.
These thread out to adjust a valve and up to the burner to make the light.
Burning gas through a pipe that runs up the center column. Purchased by the guest some years back in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and reportedly originating from an opera house in Vienna, Austria, this torchère's date of creation can be set to around 1863.
That would have been relatively forward-thinking glaze for 1863, but we can believe that it is in fact 1863.
The torchère boasts a neo-Renaissance design with gilt decoration and a forward-thinking pink majolica glaze. Its intricate details include gilt bronze mounts and frosted etched glass shades, all appearing original. At auction, conservatively, this torchère with its unique features and excellent condition would be valued at,
we would conservatively estimate this piece to bring $10,000 to $15,000 in today's auction market.
Okay.
The guest purchased a yellow chair from a garage sale for just $50. The appraiser revealed that the chair was designed by Warren Platner, an American interior designer. The chair bore a sticker under the ottoman seat, which showed it was produced by Knoll International. This helped the appraiser to date the particular item in the 1970s. The chair, known as a high-back lounge chair and ottoman, featured original fabric and a bronze metal wire base. Furthermore, the discussion touched upon the popularity and high desirability of postmodern furniture among collectors. The specific chair was spacious, comfortable, and exemplified modern lifestyles. The guest was amazed by the considerable value proposed for this profitable item.
I'm happy to
$50.
inform you that today at auction, this chair would bring between $2,000 and $4,000.
Holy cow. Wow. Wow. Very cool.
This portrait depicts the founder of the Prudential Finance Company, John F. Dryden. Dryden was an American insurance executive and Republican politician. In 1848, he and a group of gentlemen founded the Prudential Mutual Assurance.
People were dying of cholera, and he and some business friends got together and started the Prudential Assurance Company, of which he was the first chairman.
So a man of the cloth?
Yes.
Known today as Prudential Financial, of which he served as the chairman. The portrait was painted and signed by the father of Australian landscape painting, John Glover. Glover was an English-born artist best known for his paintings of the Tasmanian landscape.
However, whether or not we can ever prove that it is by John Glover, who it is described by,
This particular work by the artist dates back to the 1820s. How much would a portrait of the founder and chairman of a well-known financial services company, painted by a renowned artist, cost at an auction?
providing it can be conclusively proved to be of him, why not 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 pounds?
Don't tell them where it hangs, though.
Our guest presents a collection of glass magic lantern slides belonging to their grandmother's great-uncle, J.R. Bartroff, who used them for presentations in Boston. The slides are divided by geography and subject matter, including images from Arizona, Southern California, and
Most is you had 2 slides of local interest to Tucson, Arizona. So both of these slides are the same building, 2 shots of the San Xavier mission.
Of particular interest are 2 slides featuring the San Xavier mission in Tucson, Arizona.
They both date from late 1800s, 1890 to early 1900s. Prior to 1902, we can
One slide shows the front view of the mission, highlighting its architectural details and historical significance. The other slide captures a really photographed corner of the mission, making it an important piece for Tucson historians. The appraiser estimates the value of each San Xavier mission slides could sell for between $50 to $100 apiece, with the entire collection valued for insurance purposes between
we would give an insurance value between $10,000 and $15,000.
Wow. Wow.
The pot of Native American make was initially thought to be Navajo. However, upon closer inspection, the pot is discovered to be Zuni, due to similarities in design. The classical rainbird design and Zuni clay confirm this conclusion.
One time when I was in the Field Museum, I saw a pot similar to it under the Zuni display, and so I thought, well, it must not be Navajo, it must be Zuni.
The pot was probably made between 1880 and 1890. Despite noticeable damage, which indicates genuine use, the pot's condition adds to its authenticity. Measuring 14¼ inches in diameter, this pot qualifies as an olla, or short-necked jar, an unusually large size. Given its size and authenticity, in a private gallery, this pot could fetch.
In a private gallery, I think you're looking at $15,000 to $25,000.
Oh my gosh. That's unbelievable.
The guest brought a book from his father's collection, who was an avid collector.
And she was born in 1977.
And how did he get it?
Well, he collected first edition books.
The book was titled Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. The appraiser examined the book, revealing it to be a first edition dating back to 1872. Moreover, it was inscribed by the author to Mona Margaret Patton in 1871. The appraiser explained that the author would receive advanced copies of the book to give as Christmas presents. Additionally, there was a letter inside the book written in purple ink. The letter referred to England as an unpleasant island and was signed by Carroll. The inscription and the letter contributed to the book's worth. The guest was surprised by the potentially high value of the letter and book.
The book. The letter is worth $2,500.
Wow.
This would look like junk to a lot of antique collectors, but to those who have an eye for great tribal art pieces, this is a gold mine. This item is called a war club, and it was used by Native Americans during wars.
I think it's a ceremonial piece, maybe. The wear on it isn't such that it would have been used in battle, I don't think.
This one is special because, unlike most war clubs, it is a ceremonial war club. It is made from ash and was crafted around the 1850s.
The scale of it, the weight of it, when you see the older ones, they're generally smaller.
War clubs served as a symbol of authority, and possession of a ceremonial one positioned someone as a superior warrior. As a symbol of Native American militarism, this war club would auction at...
I would easily expect it to bring $15,000 to $20,000.
What?
So a fair amount of money, and you know,
oh
a good
kidding.
buy at the sale.
Yeah, my knees are shaking.
We are featuring memorabilia from the 1908 Olympics held in London. Our guest on the show inherited these items from his great-grandfather. The first item we have is a print which showcases all the champions from the games.
The White City, yes.
Yes, and if we look at this print, we can see all the Olympic champions and one or two sports that we don't have these days, such as the tug of war, and here you have tandems.
The second item is a megaphone that was used during the games. Our guest's great-grandfather was in charge of announcing the results of the events. The last item is a gold medal for the 5 miles race, which was won by Emile Voigt. Voigt was a British athlete and humanitarian.
It's was won by this man called Voigt.
Here we are, number 29, yes.
Who
These items, which hold historical significance related to the Olympics held in London in the early 20th century, at an auction would hold a value of...
If that came up at auction, it would probably fetch somewhere between £6,000 and £8,000.
The guest brought a bronze lamp base which originated from her husband's relatives. It features a lamp with a dogwood pattern base, crafted from gilt bronze. This piece was produced by Tiffany Studios in 1910. Lamps from this studio are typically recognized by their intricate organic patterns, bronze color, and a beautiful patina present on their bases. Although this piece lacks a lampshade to complement its base, at auction would still hold a value of...
We're thinking that this piece probably had a fabric shade originally. So we'd still probably be at $6,000 to $8,000 for the lamp with the shade. Okay.
Looks like a medieval British bridle for horses, but this item was crafted by the Navajo. The Navajo are a Native American tribe known for crafting some of the best folk art pieces, and this bridle is a masterpiece created by an expert Navajo artist. This bridle, or horse headgear, was created in 1870, and the idea is widely believed to be inspired by the Plains Indians, specifically the Comanche and Kiowa.
This is the earliest characteristic of a Plains Indian bridle. They rocker engrave the decoration.
The bridle is made from fine silver material, which gives it a scintillating shine.
The beautiful conches are all cold chiseled with probably the end of a file or something.
A distinguishing feature of this bridle is the rare original leather that was coupled with it.
And I particularly like these little scoops. There's early photographs of southern Cheyenne taken in the 1860s.
As a beautiful piece of folk art, this bridle would fetch an auction price of...
I think it would easily bring $10,000 to $15,000 at auction.
Wow. Well, great. Well, thank you. You by far gave me the most information I've ever received about you.
On today's show, we are presented with a glass candy dish, graciously shared by our guest, who inherited it from his parents. This delicate item was crafted by the Tiffany Company.
It's claimed to be Tiffany?
Well, it turns out that it is Tiffany.
However, Tiffany isn't widely recognized for producing pieces like this one. Visible within the glass layers of this glassware are intricate pink petal designs, complemented by a circular purple base. This item dates back to circa 1926 to 1928. A rare and exquisite decorative piece such as this would likely fetch a considerable estimate at auction at around...
I would say it's $2,500.
Oh, wow.
Guest inherited a gold and emerald bodice ornament from their aunt, who may have received it from her Colombian husband or purchased it while working in the fashion industry. The ornament was constructed from gold and features emeralds with a cruciform design and stylized bow motif. The piece was a bodice ornament intended to be sewn at the opening of a bodice. Based on its construction, setting, and design, the appraiser identifies the ornament as Spanish, dating back to around 1750. The appraiser estimated the value of the bodice ornament to be,
at auction, a piece like this would bring somewhere between $7,000 to $8,000.
Wow. This painting from the late 1950s was made by the Highwaymen, a group of black artists. They were called the Highwaymen because they painted and sold most of their paintings on the highway for about $20 to $50. They were a group of 26 artists from Florida, but the most prominent was Harold Newton, who signed on the painting. The wonderful part about their painting is that they painted about the rich landscape of Florida from around the mid-1950s to the 1980s. Usually, they painted on cheap materials like the material of this painting, the pickled oak frame, and how the liner is painted with whitewash. These African-American artists were trained by Beanie Backus, a white artist from Florida who was interested in black artists. The painting beautifully captures Florida's remote and unspoiled landscape during that period. At auction, this painting would be valued at...
And today at auction, this would probably bring somewhere between $8,000 and $12,000.
I wasn't going to say this, but golly.
The guest purchased a pipe bag at a farm auction in 1999 for $67 as a birthday gift to himself.
Goes there too. The pipe bag is we believe from the Plains Cree.
The pipe bag was a beautifully crafted Native American artifact. The pipe bag was used to store a pipe bowl and stem when not in use, as a sign of respect for the sacredness of the pipe. The bag was made of deer hide with deer hide fringe and features intricate beading.
1880, they were traded into the Native Americans. They came from primarily Venice.
The beading on the bag indicated that it was made around 1880. The pipe bag was attributed to the Plains Cree and Sioux tribes, and its craftsmanship was considered masterful, likely made by a woman. The value of this pipe bag was estimated to be,
And on auction market today, we feel conservatively that the bag itself would be $7,000 to $9,000.
These two paintings by Amadeo de Souza-Cardoso are brought in for appraisal. Amadeo de Souza-Cardoso was one of the most important Portuguese modernists of the 20th century. He had a productive career, though he died at age 30 in 1918. Most of his paintings are Cubist paintings around the time when Cubism was hot in Europe. Part of these paintings are oil on board and were made circa 1910. He participated in some seminal art shows, such as the Salon des Indépendances, and in 1913 he was exhibited at the Armory Show in New York. Some of his paintings were also in American museums until 1925, when his paintings were forgotten. They were somewhat revived in 1952 in Amarante, his hometown in Portugal. If these paintings were paired at an auction, the most conservative price would be around...
I would put an estimate, which is a conservative estimate, of $200,000 to $300,000.
No. I mean, that is out of...
For the pair.
Oh my goodness.
These incense burners were given to the guest's father in the 60s as a gift. The appraiser suggested that these were Japanese incense burners from the Meiji period, made around the 1890s or 1880s. Meiji period incense burners are known for their exquisite craft. These particular burners were cast in bronze, and the casting quality was really fantastic. The appraiser estimated the price of the pair to be,
and I would say $4,000 to $6,000 at the auction.
Today's piece was a gift from the guest's sister to her.
She said, no, it looks like you and I want you to have it. And so I know absolutely nothing about it.
It's a pottery vase made by Leona Nicholson in 1908, who taught pottery making at Newcomb College.
Sewing, jewelry making, metal making, and pottery making.
At the top side of this piece, there are little yellow touches. Interestingly, the yellow hue was rarely used in pottery making. Another distinctive feature of this item is its carving technique, which also boasts a shiny glaze that is visually captivating. Despite a small chip on the bottom, which does slightly affect its value, this piece is still estimated to be worth...
It's quite large for Newcomb. A lot of Newcomb is very short, and our estimated at auction this vase would sell for between $30,000 and $40,000.
Oh my goodness.
For marriage, a couple often attended auctions. In Williamsport, Pennsylvania, they spotted something they liked and felt drawn to it: the whirlygig. They bought it in the early 1970s and paid $150 back then. The Pennsylvania whirlygig, a folk art form, originated in rural Pennsylvania in the 18th century. Indoor decor only, this item was crafted as a whimsical accent, not for outdoor use. Crafted by farmers and artisans, they served as both functional bird deterrents and garden decorations. The absence of the flag was evident. Pulling it out of the bag and revealing the bird on top confirmed it as a Pennsylvania whirlygig. Freckles dotted the man's cheeks as he held the intricately carved pipe, reminiscent of Pennsylvania German style. The arms aren't from one piece of wood. They seem to be made of several, while the rest is carved from a single block.
Couple different pieces of wood to get that curve in there, just easier to do it. But everything else is carved out of one piece of wood.
The Pennsylvanian whirlygig spun tales of old, entrancing onlookers, its value noted by the appraiser.
Now, what would happen if the flag was still there? I think that you might be able to bump that up to maybe $8,000 to $10,000.
Thank you.
This Confederate belt buckle has a fascinating history, being part of a collection passed down from the owner's grandfather, who discovered many items near Missionary Ridge, Tennessee. Battle of Missionary Ridge was a pivotal moment during the Confederate forces sought to blockade and starve the Union Army in Chattanooga. The buckle, shaped like an egg, is a typical example of mid-war Confederate craftsmanship, being made of stamped brass with a high copper content. Unlike some buckles, this one lacks telegraph wire hooks, which were used for durability but often rusted away over time. Despite this flaw, it remains a valuable relic, frequently associated with the battles of Missionary Ridge and Lookout Mountain. At auction, similar items can fetch between
This buckle is worth somewhere between $1,200 and $1,800. That's right. Amazing.
You might wonder what this portrait and chair today's guest is presenting is all about. Well, it's a portrait of a former president of Harvard College, Reverend Edward Holyoake. Reverend Holyoake was Harvard's 10th president, overseeing around 100 students during his tenure. This portrait captures a significant historical figure and was painted in 1749 by John Greenwood. The chair accompanying the portrait is said to have belonged to Holyoake, featuring distinctive Boston-made craftsmanship.
And of course, you know a lot about the Reverend Holyoake because he was the 10th president of a very important university.
With its beautiful scallop shell and shell-carved knees, showing the chair's origins to Boston.
Now the chair, the family tradition has it, the chair belonged to Reverend Holyoake, but we know nothing about.
Colonial portraits signed by the artist are rare, and this one, likely rendered from life, adds to its significance. The portrait of such an important historical figure at market value would be worth,
and I would say it probably is in the neighborhood of $25,000 today in the market.
Oh, really? Okay.
Maybe a little bit more. I'd insure it for $25,000 to $30,000.
While the chair, which features Boston craftsmanship and designs, would be worth.
Chairs like this bring somewhere between $60,000 and $70,000 at auction.
Oh my goodness.
Our guest brought a Tiffany vase that belonged to their mother, who collected antiques, and this was one of her first pieces of Tiffany. This vase was purchased in the 1970s from an antique dealer in Connecticut who specialized in Tiffany and...
I'm in the 1970s. She bought it from an antique dealer here in Connecticut.
Was the antique dealer a Tiffany specialist?
The vase is not an experimental piece, but dates back to around 1895.
Digit number. This kind of numbering system was used from 1895 to 1900.
This vase features a double gourd form with iridescent decoration, typical of early Tiffany pieces. It has a feathering design and is quite large. Our guest's mother affectionately called it the blob due to its shape. The vase was appraised by the guest's mother in the early 1980s for $3,500. However, the value has appreciated over time. If the vase were in a retail shop today, it would easily sell for between...
So the price for these has appreciated. If this were in a retail shop today, it would easily sell for between $9,000 and $12,000.
Wow.
The guest brought in a peculiar chair, its high back adorned with an unusual design. It had passed down from the guest's father's mother, who received it from friends in Ohio.
And it had a
old cracked leather seat with horsehair falling out of it.
Based on its style and construction, it seems to be American-made, likely from a turn-of-the-century furniture factory. While such ornately carved Victorian chairs were not uncommon, this one held a special charm. At a closer look, we find a woman seemingly peering through spectacles framed by a halo resembling a shell or a rising sun. This unique design, with its apparent homage to Grandma, resonated deeply with the appraiser. After careful consideration, the appraiser valued the chair between
worth somewhere between $800 and $1,200.
Champion.
Guest brought in a beautiful diamond bracelet inherited from her great aunt. The guest believed it to be a Cartier, based on previous appraisal of $9,000. The bracelet is indeed an Art Deco-era Cartier piece. It has this characteristic geometric design and the way it was constructed to comfortably fit around the wrist. Highlighting the quality of the piece, the bracelet is made of 180 diamonds, including larger old mine and European-cut diamonds. The most important detail for confirming authenticity was the Cartier signature and corresponding registry numbers, indicating the bracelet could be verified by Cartier. Another interesting detail was the use of square azure cuts for the diamonds in the back, showcasing meticulous craftsmanship. The estimated total diamond weight of the bracelet is around 15 carats. Considering the Cartier name, Art Deco design, and diamond quality, the appraised value for auction is a staggering.
I would say that this bracelet, easily, because of the Cartier name and the strong Art Deco influences, $40,000 to $60,000.
No way.
Our guest's father, Peter Gennaro, was a celebrated dancer and choreographer, known for his work on various television shows like The Andy Williams Show.
The Andy Williams Show, the Perry Como Show, the Ed Sullivan Show, and the Judy Garland Show.
One Christmas, Peter Gennaro received a gift from Perry Como, which turned out to be the Vacheron Constantin watch. The Vacheron Constantin watch is made of 18-karat gold and was acquired in the 1960s. It has a model number of 6515. This watch has an engraving on the back from Perry Como, adding to its sentimental and historical value. The appraiser estimates that the watch would bring somewhere in the
with the photographs, the engraving on the back from Perry Como, it would bring somewhere in the $8,000 to $10,000 range on the retail level.
That's wonderful.
It's very exciting.
This guest presents a captivating piece of art glass. He secured this incredible artwork for a mere $120 at an antique dealer's shop in Pittsburgh. Crafted in the 1920s by the renowned French glassmaker Jumeau, the piece was a prime example of the pate-de-verre technique.
Pate-de-verre, and pate-de-verre is made by a very interesting process that is unlike other glass techniques.
This unique method involved meticulously layering crushed colored glass in a mold before firing it in a kiln. The resulting artwork often displayed a characteristic lack of crisp detail due to inclusions within the glass. The scarab beetles are a popular motif inspired by the burgeoning fascination with ancient Egypt during the 1920s.
And what's astonishing about this piece is the detail is exceptionally strong.
The strong color saturation and minimal bubbles further underscored the exceptional quality. Sadly, the piece has sustained a significant crack along its lower body. Due to this damage, the appraiser revised the auction estimated to a range of
At auction today, I would think that one might get $2,000 or $3,000 for it.
Presented on the show is a Mahalika fish tureen. The guest inherited it from her father's cousin's wife. This piece is a late 19th century pottery piece.
Very popular in the late 19th century. A lot of it was made in England, but it was also made in the United States.
Its crisp modeling features fish scales and ferns set in a basket-shaped base. The interior's pink lavender color adds to its appeal. Despite the illegible manufacturer's mark, it is believed to be made by George Jones & Sons Company.
Yeah. The mark is right here, and when it was fired, the glaze ran into the mark and kind of filled it up, so it's completely illegible.
Nevertheless, this quality tureen is a very popular piece with Mahalika collectors that is estimated to be worth
a retail price in an antique shop or antique show, something like that, would probably sell for somewhere between $2,500 and $3,500. Thanks very much for coming in. It was a treat to see, and I'm glad you brought it in.
A pair of stylish earrings was brought in for appraisal. These are beautiful diamond and sapphire earrings from the early 1940s. They are from the late Deco period and manufactured in South America. The earrings are diamonds mounted in platinum accentuated with caliber-cut sapphire. In weight, there are about 3 carats of diamonds. At an auction, this pair of earrings would be valued at...
I would value them at auction $5,000 to $7,000.
Wow, wow. Very nice to know.
The guest stumbled upon this item at a church rummage sale about 8 to 10 years ago and was immediately captivated by its beauty. The appraiser noted that while the manufacturing technique was simple, the item's limited production made it stand out. With elements reminiscent of Egyptian and African art and Cubist influences, the piece exuded an Art Deco vibe. Upon closer inspection, the appraiser discovered a mark indicating it was made by a Vienna-based maker named Hagenauer from around 1925 to 1928. Despite its unassuming appearance, the item's value was estimated to be around...
And if I wanted to replace this today, I would need to have in my pocket at least $2,000.
A collection of 5 vases was brought onto the show by a guest who purchased them in a shop 20 years ago in England.
I remember the antique shop was right off the train platform, so I kind of wandered through there. And what caught my eye is the red color. I liked the red color, and the shop owner...
These vases were made by Royal Doulton, and there are 2 different types in this collection. 2 smaller vases and 3 larger vases. Underneath all 3 of the larger vases, there's the Royal Doulton mark. The larger vases have colorful glazes and were made circa the mid-1920s. Furthermore, the smaller vases, called the Sungware, also have the Royal Doulton mark underneath them. A piece closer to the guest, one of the larger ones with a wooden base cover, is estimated to be worth...
I suspect at auction it would bring at least $3,000 today, and maybe $5,000.
While the large one in the middle with a glazing would have an auction value of...
I would say between $2,000 and $4,000.
And the large one closer to the appraiser would fetch an auction value of...
But has the effects that people like, would bring about $3,000 to $4,000.
Lastly, the 2 colorful sung pieces would command an auction value of...
They're both great ones. They have more color than many, and I would say $1,500 to $2,000 for the one closest to me, and the same for the one with the parrot that you like.
This stunning piece was purchased by the guest's great-uncle in 1985 and has been handed down to them. Created during Andy Warhol's peak popularity in 1985, the Cincinnati Museum of Art commissioned this painting from Warhol for $100,000. The painting features 4 images of baseball legend Pete Rose at bat, making it a unique 4-quadrant piece. In addition to the painting, the museum also received the rights to produce 50 impressions of a color screen print, which were sold for $2,500 each, generating a profit for the museum. Despite its historical significance, the guest has never had the painting professionally valued. The appraiser, impressed by its condition, suggests an insurance value of...
I would put an insurance value of $30,000 on it. Wow. So, really, very nice.
This delicate cat figurine captivates with its elegance. It has been in this guest's family for many years, and she inherited it from her grandmother. Upon turning the item over, the name of the maker is revealed to us, Emile Galle. Galle was a French artist and designer who worked in glass.
You can see the white color of this glaze. It's made white by adding tin, which oxidizes and goes white.
He is considered one of the major innovators in the French Art Nouveau movement. The figurine boasts white, tin-glazed earthenware and vibrant colors, primarily yellow and black. Although many of these types of figurines have been reproduced, this piece has been proven to be authentic.
It's also beautifully made, beautifully colored, and very characteristic of it.
We can expect this original cat figurine by Galle to fetch at an auction value of...
This one today in an auction would probably bring about $2,000.
Wow.
Because it's in such great condition. It may even bring $2,500 or $3,000.
Generations, a prized heirloom, crafted by their great-great-great-grandfather, passed down through their family line. The watch, supposedly made with Massachusetts jeweler Jules Jurgensen, was exhibited statewide for years. Jules Jurgensen was a renowned Swiss watchmaker known for producing high-quality timepieces. The body of letter is about the watch with the signature of the guest's grandfather. This perpetual calendar watch is a horological marvel, flawlessly adjusting for leap years with its precise mechanism.
Watch is a masterpiece of horology.
Yeah.
It's a perpetual calendar. It knows how many days are in each month.
Every fourth year, it adjusts for February's extra day, a testament to its precision engineering. It also boasts a minute repeater, chiming to the nearest minute. The clock rang hour, quarter hour, and minute bells, while also indicating the moon phase. Crafted from 18-karat gold, it also functions as a chronometer for precise timing. Exhibition cover reveals movement, but a letter claims the watch is 140 years old. A pocket watch from 1885 would indeed be a treasure with the value of the appraiser.
Was not made by Jules Jurgensen. The value on the retail market would be in the $25,000 to $30,000 price range.
Wow.
Today's exhibition features a pair of vintage brass andirons that have been in the guest family for many years. Upon observing the front of these brass andirons, we can see a line signifying that they were crafted in two molds that were merged together. Underneath, we can discern a pinned-over rod showcasing an old style of craftsmanship.
There's a line. Do you see a line going down? That is because it was formed in two molds.
Fascinatingly, the feet were made to depict ball and talon designs. The items also feature acorn finial tops with an engraving of the American eagle adorning the front.
The other good thing about your andirons is the feet. You have that ball and talon foot. Many times there will be just a simple slipper foot. This is an extra feature.
At auction, these intricately crafted andirons would accrue a value of...
At an auction, a good estimate for these circa 1800 andirons would be $5,000 to $7,000.
Oh my gosh.
So...
They've been sitting in the attic with the bats and the mice.
Okay, well,
recently. Thank you.
Good for you.
Thank
Congratulations.
you so
They're
much.
wonderful.
Landscape paintings, and then there's this beauty of an oil painting. Drawn by Charles Partridge, this oil painting exudes expertise and incredible appeal.
He was painting there around the turn of the century. The painting's signed and dated Charles Partridge Adams, 1898.
This painting represents a genre called Impressionist painting, and it was created in 1898, a year considered to be a great one for Partridge. There's so much attention to detail in this painting that brings it to life, and the contrast between colors increases its appeal. It's a beautiful painting that we often don't see reproduced anymore. Because of its uniqueness and the great sense of expertise, this painting would auction at...
My sense of the painting's value is in the range of $10,000 to $15,000.
Oh, really?
Yep, so it's a handsome picture.
Thank you.
Okay.
Today, we witness an artifact from a bygone era, a captivating vintage Oriental rug. Our guest bought this timeless piece from a lady in Illinois. The light blue selvage is a hallmark of Cuba craftsmanship. This piece is adorned with intricate designs.
And actually what caught my eye when you were standing in line is the unusual border. And you can also see here how the black here has corroded a little bit because there's iron in the dye that they use.
Accentuated by elaborate border patterns. The whimsical depiction of tiny human figures in the patterns confirms the rug's hand-woven origin. A small defect can be seen on the rug, but overall, this stunning rug is in pristine condition and would have an auction value of...
So in terms of value, something like this would actually sell around $3,500 at auction.
Wow.
So more than your $35.
Yes, that's for sure.
Our guest presents a silver soup tureen that has been in their family for several generations, possibly originating from their great-grandmother from Louisiana. This tureen is believed to date back to around 1840 to 1850 and is a rare example of Southern coin silver.
Before the Civil War, probably circa 1840, 1850, and the majority of the silver manufacturers were in the Northeast as well.
The Civil War further reduced the number of surviving Southern silver pieces due to looting and
silver that was made did not survive.
This tureen is marked with the maker's mark Hyde and Goodrich, a prominent New Orleans silversmith known for producing fine silver. The tureen features traditional English design elements such as gadrooning borders, cast lion handles, and a dog finial, reflecting its high quality and craftsmanship. Despite being coined silver, which is a lesser mix of silver than sterling, the tureen is quite heavy, weighing approximately 100 ounces. After consulting with colleagues, the appraiser estimates that the tureen would conservatively fetch between
Come up at auction, conservatively, it would bring between $10,000 and $15,000.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Here we have on display a German violin crafted in the town of Mittenwald, Germany. This item was acquired 35 years ago through an auction sale by our guest today.
And how long ago was that?
That was probably about 30, 35 years ago. It's been sitting in either in the garage or in a closet.
German violins are known for their warm and powerful sound, often exhibiting a dark tone. Within the instrument lies a reproduction label bearing the date 1745, while the cast of the varnish and its level of transparency signify characteristic traits commonly found in German violins. This instrument remains in commendable condition, bearing only minor scratches. Although it is a reproduction, this piece exemplifies great craftsmanship, and in this good condition, it is estimated to be worth
Just a nice German instrument from this time period in good condition today would have a retail value between $12,000 and $15,000.
Wow, that's pretty good investment.
The story behind this piece of paper is honestly exciting because although it looks like a legitimate marriage license, it's deeper than that. The license was supposed to belong to Davy Crockett, but it was never signed or executed.
And therefore it was going to be pitched out. And my uncle saw it, and being a fan of Crockett.
This license is special because it is older than most antiques, and yet, as a piece of paper, even though it is protected, it has lasted over centuries.
David Crockett, and his bride-to-be, her name is a little bit harder to read, but it's right here, Margaret Elder.
It's especially important because Davy Crockett went on to become an important figure. Because of his significance, this license would auction at...
We feel that it's worth $20,000 to $30,000.
My goodness, really?
Yes.
The guest brought in a cherished childhood toy, a tin clown figure made by Philipp Wilmette in Berlin around 1875. This unique toy captivated the guest not only for its functionality, but also for its historical significance. The clown sat on an easel and, when a handle was turned, would draw a portrait using a pre-programmed mechanism. The toy even had interchangeable canisters allowing for multiple drawings. The guest estimated the toy belonged to their father since the 1920s or 1930s, although it was never played with due to its perceived value. The toy's condition is great, especially considering it still functioned, albeit a bit slower. Its rarity of having all 5 cams, which are the components that create the different portraits. An interesting detail was that the portraits depicted historical figures like Kaiser William II and Umberto I of Italy. A recent auction of a similar toy fetched over $5,000. Converting this to pounds, the estimated value of the guest's toy is between
and made over $5,000.
Oh my heavens.
Looking like a plank with decorative designs, this figure acquired by this guest actually has origins from the Australian continent. The figure is a protective item originating from the southern part of Papua New Guinea. Often used as a decorative piece, this figure's simple design is quite creative. It shows the creativity of the Papua New Guinea people. A simple, well-made decorative piece like this would be valued at...
As a decorative piece is going to be $2,000 to $3,000.
Art Nouveau items are always known for their unique designs, and more so can be said for this particular item. The item, an Art Nouveau lighting device, captures attention with its unique design. Although the lighting device resembles bronze, it is actually crafted from white metal. Its eye-catching appearance certainly draws lots of interest from Art Nouveau collectors. In an antique shop, this piece would be considered a legitimate reproduction and be valued at...
I would think $1,200 to $1,500. It must have attracted a lot of attention when you brought this in.
Given to the guest by her favorite aunt, this Mickey Mouse toy is more than your everyday toy. Just like the titular character, this toy has on shorts, gloves, and shoes. Made by the Steiff Company, it is clearly shown on the button and tag on the doll. The doll's origin can be dated to circa 1936. Steiff early pieces like this doll are an incredibly rare find.
Obviously, it's a Steiff piece, which it shows on the button and on the tag.
On the retail market today, this toy, with its rarity and condition, would be worth...
On the retail market today, it's worth between $3,500 and $4,500.
Oh my. Mickey, I love you.
The guest spotted this Peter Hunt bench at an antique show in Minneapolis and convinced her husband to purchase it. The bench adorned their bedroom for a decade or more. The appraiser noted the mid-20th century painting style, characteristic of Peter Hunt. Peter Hunt was a prominent figure in Provincetown and Cape Cod, Massachusetts, known for hand-painting furniture in a folk art tradition. This bench featured a vibrant depiction of a boat departure with floral offerings. It also had French inscriptions and Hunt's signature abbreviation, Ovens. Despite uncertainties, the appraiser believed the bench to be authentic due to the fluidity and ease of the paintwork. He estimated the value of this beautifully painted bench to be...
I would expect in the current market for it to be worth probably $1,000 to $1,500.
Imagine getting autographs from astronauts. Well, don't imagine, this book has those autographs in it. It contains the signatures of 122 astronauts, and the book started being signed in 1986. This means it has 20-plus years signatures. It's absolutely mind-blowing because this could end up being worth a hefty price tag. At auction, this book would retail for...
As a collection, I would say the book at the present moment is probably worth about $10,000.
Wow.
This exquisite jewel showcased on the show by a guest who received it from her father. The Cryos vase is expertly carved, and floral motifs adorn its base, complemented by wirework around the bezel set diamonds. The exceptional quality of the stones used adds to its allure.
Matching pairs, and then I love it here too. You have the rubies, the diamonds, but the quality of the stones.
Additionally, the base is crafted from lapis lazuli. Made by the Italian firm Masoni, circa 1960 to 1970, this item bears the company's signature underneath. This captivating piece, made by Masoni, in this impeccable condition, this jewel would command auction value of...
For an insurance value for a piece like this today, it would be about $5,000. Wonderful.